I've always been fascinated by stories, so I decided to finally figure it out. More specifically, I wanted to understand how businesses use storytelling to grab our attention. I mean, if you think about it, we're surrounded by millions of stories every second, so why only a few of them manage to cut through the noise? As I kept digging, I realized stories are so much more than just marketing tools, and suddenly this wasn't just about marketing. It was about understanding the stories shaping our lives, and whether they're the ones we truly need. So, why are stories such a powerful way for communication? It's not just because they're entertaining, they're actually doing something incredible to our brains. Psychologist Yuri Hassan found that when people watch random non-narrative content like a concert clip, their brain activity barely registers, but the moment they're pulled into a story, like an Alfred Hitchcock movie, their brain activity surges to 65%. Stories literally bring the brain to life. Why does this happen? The best definition of a story is a sense-making device. Stories provide clarity in a way that real life often cannot. In a story, we immediately understand who the characters are, what they want, and what challenges they face. We also know the stakes, what success or failure means. Real life doesn't quite work that way. Life can feel messy and unpredictable, and most days we wake up with a million things to do and no clear idea what matters the most. But a good story strips away that chaos. Stories like music derive their power from structure. Random events like random sounds feel chaotic. Music and noise are both, after all, vibrations in the air that stimulate your eardrums. The difference between them is form. Harmonics, melodies, and so forth are simply noise tamed. Does this mean all music is formulaic? Not at all. Within the structure of music scales and harmonics, there is infinite creative space, but break the rules and music turns to noise quickly. So, what are these rules? Well, many have tried to articulate these rules, but they all follow the same logic. A character has a problem and meets a guide who gives them a plan and is called to take an action. That action leads to either success or failure. Most of the stories we know and love follow this structure. Think of Harry Potter. Harry is the character, and his problem is simple. You know who is trying to kill him, and he must survive and stay good. He meets his guide, or in this case, guides, who teach him how to stay strong, so he could fight back, which could end in success or everyone dying. So, stories engage us. Is that all? Not so much. Stories have always played a much bigger role in human culture than just entertainment. Great myths in human history offered the whole package: story and narrative, an explanation of the world, and a moral or meaning. Perfect modern example is the American dream. The story is that America is a land that clawed its way out from under the tyranny of British class and privilege, built by people who believed in liberty, hard work, and self-discipline. The explanation is that America is a place where anyone could succeed if they put in the effort. What does this mean? Means if you work hard and never give up, you will be rewarded with success in this land. And myths that provide all three of this cannot help to make us ask, how can we apply it in our own lives? And we do that by rituals. For centuries, religious and traditional myths gave people meaning and guidance. But as the world changed, many of these myths became rigid and outdated with the emergence of science and technology, creating what Jonah Sachs calls in his book Myth Gap. After World War I, the industrial machine, which had been running at full capacity during the war, found itself producing more goods than people wanted or needed. This created a demand gap. So this dual gap of demand and meaning opened the door for marketers to step in as the new myth makers. Marketers didn't just sell products. They created entirely new desires. They began crafting stories that explained how these products fit into the modern world, and the new rituals were using those products. And one of the most famous examples of this is Edward Bernays' campaign for cigarettes as torches of freedom. You see, in the 1920s, smoking was taboo for women, which was bad news for cigarette companies looking to expand their markets. Bernays, often called the father of public relations, saw an opportunity to rewrite the narrative. Drawing from his his uncle Sigmund Freud's theories, he reframed cigarettes as a symbol of empowerment and equality, aligning them with the rising feminist movement. And in 1929, Bernays staged a dramatic stunt at the New York Easter's Parade, hiring women to march, light cigarettes publicly, and declare them torches of freedom. The event became a sensation. Within years, the taboo against women smoking had largely disappeared and cigarette sales soared. This wasn't just a clever ad campaign, it was the first demonstration of the power of storytelling in marketing. Bernays didn't just sell cigarettes, he sold a myth. What was that myth? That cigarettes symbolized women's fights for equal rights with men, both legally and culturally, and the act of smoking was its ritual. So great. Marketers filled the gap between both demand and myth. That's a good thing, isn't it? Perhaps. You see, Joseph Campbell identified the common purpose of mythology as guiding individuals through the hero's journey, a transformative path from adolescence to maturity. As Harry Potter faces challenges, grows, and returns home with newfound wisdom and responsibility. Traditional myths did this for us, but our marketing forefathers were inspired by contemporary psychology to believe such maturity was ultimately impossible for the masses. So they used their roles as myth makers to encourage people to see personal choices as a decision between products, not between ways of ordering communities. In the world Bernays was designing, the primary duty of his citizens would be to consume, and the hero's journey would take place in the safe confines of the supermarket. But how did they do it? Marketers tell their stories through a simple yet powerful two-step strategy. First, they create anxiety and then introduce a magic solution. The anxiety is crafted by triggering at least one negative emotion, such as greed, fear, or lust. Once this anxiety is established, the marketer presents a convenient and instant solution, often in the form of a product. The Sad Edna campaign by Listerine is one of the earliest and most famous examples of inadequacy marketing. In 1922, Listerine coined the term halitosis to make bad breath sound like a serious medical issue. The campaign told the story of a young woman who felt stuck in life, with the tagline, "Often a bridesmaid, never a bride," blaming her undiagnosed halitosis for her loneliness and rejection. The ad obviously blew up, selling millions of bottles of Listerine and even paving the way for the multi-billion-dollar beauty industry we know today. And generations of us have come to believe that joy can be purchased in a Coke bottle, status in the body of a catalog, and sex appeal in the gears of a Rolex. But there is a better way. In 2004, Dove launched the Real Beauty campaign. The campaign was built on a shocking study that found only 12% of women were satisfied with their appearance, and just 2% considered themselves beautiful. Most blamed the media for pushing unattainable beauty standards, but Dove took this anxiety and turned it on its head with a 75-second video called Evolution. The video shows how an ordinary woman is photoshopped into the perfect cover girl. It exposed the lie behind the beauty ideals. The message hit hard. Beauty isn't found in a product or a filter, but in truth. The video went viral, resonated with millions of women, and earning Dove massive attention. What made this campaign so powerful wasn't just the visuals or the messaging, it was the moral of the story. The stories we create and consume can either pull us toward inadequacy or empowerment. Inadequacy marketing thrives by exploiting our most basic needs, safety, self-esteem, and belongings. It paints us as incomplete or in danger, offering products as the hero to fix our flaws. Empowerment marketing, on the other hand, tells a completely different story. Instead of preying on insecurities, it starts with the belief that everything we need is already within us. It doesn't make the brand the hero, it makes the audience the hero. The brand is just a guide, a tool to help you achieve your potential. As Steve Jobs would tell his biographer before his death, the people who buy Apple products do think different. They are the creative spirits in this world, and they are out to change the world. We make tools for those kind of. You can see these iconic campaigns in Apple's 1984, Nike's Just Do It, and Dove's Real Beauty. The only question remaining is, how can we create these empowerment campaigns and iconic brands? How do we know we aren't arbitrarily choosing values that may seem noble but fail to resonate universally? Maslow's hierarchy of needs gives us a clear answer. This pyramid, with which many of us are familiar, is a framework that shows how human needs build on each other, starting with the basic ones like food and safety, then moving to emotional ones. But the deeper lesson here is lying at the very top of this hierarchy. Self-actualization, the discovery that it is a universal goal, a far goal toward which all men strive, as Maslow put it. The values tied to self-actualization, such as truth, beauty, perfection, and creativity, are ideals that uplift us. They naturally come from our shared desire to feel whole as individuals and connected to something greater than ourselves, for the need to seek mastery of skill or vocation, for the need to express our personal gifts, creativity, and non-conformity, and the need to experience and express reality without distortion, to search for the truth in the face of commonly accepted lies.